Welcome back, Wrench Nation. Get on to wrenchnation.tv. A big shout out to all of our podcast listeners. I load that up usually Sunday or Monday. And our family out in the high desert of California, KMET. Thank you so much. Your show topic and ideas always welcome. wrenchnation.tv. Big announcement. I want to get you guys ready. Super Bowl's gone and you're like, this festivities. What can I do? I don't care if you're outside of Arizona. You want to make a trip. Glendale. Right? That very same Super Bowl stadium, which we threw down, which I thought it was a good game. Justin, you thought the Super Bowl was a good game?
It was actually the first Super Bowl I actually watched.
Are you hooked? Are you a football fan now?
I am not a football fan.
Okay. All right. Well, you enjoyed yourself. Mecum Auctions. We do a lot of work with Mecum. They've got their March 28th through April 1st at the State Farm Stadium. You guys can check that out. They've got their wonderful auction. Man, I'm telling you, everything from a 55 Mercedes 300 SL Goldwing to a 68 Yanko Camaro, a lot of you Camaro lovers. And it's not about high dollar. This is what I like about Mecum. Like, you can find just about anything and everything. Mecum.com. We'll be out there, Wrench Nation, hanging out with the Mecum family. Again, that's March 28th through April 1st. Let's bring Mike DelaCruz in. He's been patiently waiting. Mike DelaCruz, are you there?
What's up, Big Frank? Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
I just got to clear the air. Mike, stop sending us all that cold weather from California. Please? Pretty please?
I hesitate to say freezing because I heard you say that there's people on here from Michigan, and, our definition of freezing out in California is probably a little bit different, right?
It's so funny. I talked to Rocky Comedian out of Costa Mesa, Beamer and Benz. We talk often, and he was, Rocky, he was complaining about the weather. I said, Rocky, you're like by the beach. I'm in the desert. Like, we don't understand this kind of weather. We need therapy afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, seriously, isn't it that way? Mike DelaCruz, I've known you for years. You're a fascinating, incredible individual, and I would just clear the air and tell you, you're a man of your word. Many people want to do business with people that honor their word, which means, hey, at 3 a.m, if your word is what I got to do is what I got to do, you're there. That's who you are, bro.
Thanks for saying that, Frank. Yeah. I mean, it's cliche, but when you love what you do, it's not work, right? From the time I get up in the morning, I think my clients, I think the industry, how can we serve and pay it forward? And I've been in this space for over a decade, and I feel like I just reached a point of maturity where it's now time to pay it forward, which is why I'm on a bunch of committees and, mentor for the Yang Council. And I'm doing so many things, but it's effortless because I'm really enjoying it.
Well, that's what it's about. I mean, like, we could have the crappiest day. A lot of us do. Cars don't get fixed properly. Rental cars that are in their 8th day. I mean, it happens. And when we can make connection with folks in the industry that make us forget and really, I don't want to sound kumbaya, but that's what works for me. And you're one of those individuals, top of my list, that is a breath of fresh air. Now, enough of that. I'm done. I'm done with that. Let's get to business. Hey, so again, I'll remind you guys, check out overdryveinc.com, overdryveinc.com. I'll have it in show notes while we discuss some of this marketing. Mike, I know I did personally back in 95 when I opened up my first shop. I loved on everybody, had no clue about what price structure should be, would hire anything that would smile with at least 8 teeth. I did a lot of things wrong, including marketing. I got to put you on the spot before we get into your background. What are you seeing right now? Maybe it's like the number one commonality that as an industry, we're just not getting right from a marketing point of view. And I know it's a big question, but what's the commonality? Are we afraid of price structure? Are we doing free a little too much? Talk to me.
Well, I mean, what we're not doing right is doing nothing at all. One of the things that I see today is, and thankfully it's not as common, right, as it was 10 years ago when I first came into the aftermarket. But what I'm seeing a lot is hesitation, kind of that fear of, wanting to try something. So I think the biggest thing that we're getting wrong right now is just the lack of I don't want to say effort, but the lack of willingness to execute on different marketing structure.
Yeah, and I think I would add to that. Like again, I go back to like 1995, man. Like the only thing that allowed me to survive, and I think it was just a bunch of naive chutzpah, if you will, was my heart for people. And then you quickly learn it's like, ooh, that heart starts to get like the heart goes down to the ankles because, oh God, I didn't charge accordingly, or I didn't hire appropriately. And within that, everything leads by the brand and reach of your company. And you visited well over 1,300 service facilities. And I bet you there are some out there that when you say consistency, they don't even have a guideline percentage of budget for what marketing should be. I've heard when I was running with the Arlo O'Connor coaching groups years ago, I was a big shot. Like, I'm spending 3% of my budget on marketing. I'm like, yeah. And then I go in the group and, I saw everybody passing me tissues because they were like, and I'm like, why are you giving me tissues? Because we're about to make you cry. Right?
I'm like, 3%. You're talking to a marketing guy, Frank. Man,
I know. Fast forward, I will tell you, we spend 8 to 10% of our budget. They say 6 to 8% to grow. I mean, what's your thought on that?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's always going to vary, right? And what I always like to do is I always like to keep a cushion. So, my numbers are right around that 6 to 8%, probably closer to 10. And the reason why is because let's say we don't use all of that budget, all of that marketing budget, we could always allocate it towards our following year, right? 2024 marketing expense, right? So I always like to pad that because I like to prevent what I've heard is called panic marketing, where oh shoot, car counts dropped, and we got to get some cars in the base today. Instead of forecasting it and planning it out 6 months, 8 months, a year from now. So it's always better to have that cushion. But I think you're right in line with the 6 to 8% on average.
Yeah, I think I think that adds to the anxiety because one of the things you said was, man, I'm seeing a lot of folks that the way I posed it was like casino slots, the penny slots. It's like I'm going to spend $1 to try to gain 10,000. That's like pure luck. And we know that when it comes to marketing, it's risky. So part of the problem is establishing what you're going to have and stay consistent with. Do you find that we're just like we were all over the map? We try too many things, and then we fire the things that we try after a month or two because the biggest thing you probably hear is it's not working. I'm not. I think I had one electric scooter come in the shop.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
Talk to me about consistency. Like a lot of those shops that get it, it's like a set it and forget it for the most part.
Exactly. I mean, I would probably say, Frank, that, again, we sort of evolved from a marketing perspective as an industry. I mean, I remember over 10 years ago when I came into this industry, I used to have to convince, like literally twist somebody's arm to open up a Facebook page or create content for something, right? You fast forward to today, we've evolved as an industry. So in terms of like, jumping around and stuff, I realize like, look, we take a lot of pride in our business. We know it better than anybody else. We care about our community. We care about our customers. And whenever one of our vendors maybe drops the ball, we are, in some cases, quick to jump the gun. I always say, look, nobody's perfect, right? And the cool thing is people don't expect perfection. They just expect follow through. So when you're working with a vendor that, will make an occasional mistake, but they're lightning fast to fix that mistake, hold on to it. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't be quick to jump from vendor to vendor. Give it your best shot. And if you look back and you're like, I tried X amount of times to make this relationship work with this vendor. It's not working. And now it's time to look at other options. But make sure that it's not like you take the emotion out of it. It's not an emotional decision. It's more of a well thought out, thought through process before you move from vendor to vendor. But, consistency is important, but also explore. Don't be afraid to go out there, roll up your sleeves, and take a look at what's happening out there from a marketing perspective. I mean, there's so many cool things that we could be doing now today that we weren't doing 10 years ago. So,
all right, Mike, I got to jump in. A lot of people are listening, and they're I get it. And I got to speak for myself. I was that guy because I just so respected people that were peddling whatever they were peddling, a plunger, or they were peddling the latest magazine cover they wanted us in. What is the question I should ask if I'm solicited by whatever digital circulation, billboard people, shopping cart coupon guy? What? Because some people
nowadays it's a hand sanitizer station, right? You got your face up there.
Hey, but no, I'm a gorilla. I got my faces on everything. Probably places I don't need to be. But what do I ask? In like some of us, we get nervous. Let's just speak on this. Some of us get nervous because we're busy. This was like interrupted. In other words, whether it was an email that I got from somebody I don't know, or whether they walked into my garage and things are busy. I got my service team. They're trained to be nice. And then there's a no soliciting sign. So you know what that means. How do I respond to somebody that's got the best in the world for my business regarding marketing? I mean, what are some of the questions I can ask?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, what I would do is find other users that are peer-to-peer users, right? Other shop owners that had maybe tried the billboard company that you're looking at, or maybe tried some type of digital marketing, or maybe tried the postcard campaign for that particular company. So the first thing that I would do is I would check with other peers. Either you're in a 20 group, or obviously we're a close-knit community. There's a bunch of forums on Facebook and so on. But lean on your community, your automotive community. Find out who's used XYZ company. Don't expect everyone to be perfect the same way we don't expect every customer to be satisfied with the experience in our shop as much as we want to. Not everybody's going to be happy. You put 1,000 people trying something, not all 1,000 people are going to say great things about it, right? So everybody has their own experience. And then what I would ask that particular vendor is I would want them to set clear expectations. And what I mean by that, Frank, is, what does the next 30 days look like for me? What does the next 60 days? Don't tell me I'm going to generate revenue in the next week if it's going to take me 6 months. So I feel like having the realistic expectation of a return on investment, you've got to ask those hard questions up front. That way, if they say you're going to get X amount of revenue in 6 months, and if you get it in 4 months, the guy ends up looking like a rock star, right? Like, man, he killed it. He did it well before I expected it, and I'm taking off to the moon here. One
of the things you said earlier, and I think this is real, because of the lack of planning, i.e. marketing calendar. By the way, if you're listening, I'm more than happy. I don't have the Holy Grail. I got a marketing calendar every year. Like, some of it is set and forget it, and then we review it. If you guys want that, just reach out to me on wrenchnation.tv. I'll make it your own. But part of the anxiety about I need cars now is we're not planning. Like, those that get it, or they're planning for the summer, they're planning for the winter. They're always one step ahead. I think you'll agree, the rush to get those cars in the bay, you kind of start slipping and sliding because you're expecting something when in all reality you haven't sat down to review your situation regarding a marketing calendar. Would you agree?
100%. Shop owners, for the most part, they know what they want to do, right? The commonality is, they want to grow sales, they want to hire car count, they want to hire ARO, right? Those are the common things that we hear today. But the challenge is they don't have the time, or some of them don't have the resources to fully execute on that. And when you talk about like a calendar and kind of pre-planning, I think it was, and forgive me if I got the wrong person, but I'm 99% sure it was Malin that talked about the panic marketing that I mentioned a minute ago.
Panic, and yeah. It's like Wall Street right now. Look at Wall Street. They're panicking. But maybe.
The car count's dropping. What can we do today to get cars, in my bays, right? It's almost like this big, major deal, right? Can that happen, right? Can we launch a campaign and get immediate car count? Of course, right? But you have to be very creative with the type of campaign, right? It has to be well thought out, fully calibrated. Do I encourage it? No. It's better to forecast your marketing based on historical data. So here's a tip. What I like to do is I look at shop management. Shop management systems obviously have everything about your customers, their frequency of visits, their type of vehicles, their phone numbers, their email addresses. Go into your shop management system, pull 36 months worth of data. Look at that historical data and measure that seasonality. Is it tax time? Is it winter time? Is it back to school? Measure those pockets historically where it typically slows down in your shop, and then start to think about that forecasting. Start to think about those campaigns to be able to alleviate any stress of a reduction in car count.
Yeah, I think you said forecast, man. I think we're not really good at forecasting anything.
That's what Overdryve's for, right? That's why you hire Overdryve if you don't either know it or you don't have the time to do it. That's the goal.
And I don't think we ever thought of it that way. Like, we were expected. A lot of us were great technicians under the hood. For whatever reason, we said, I'm going to do this on my own. And then we find out, wow, I'm $40,000 a month in debt. I got all these bills. I didn't even price out my labor rate. And I got people yelling at me, and it's just so chaotic. The last thing we think about, because, hey, if we can diagnose 100 million lines of code, dang it, we can do marketing.
Exactly.
So a lot of us have never thought, like, I put this out there and people think, oh, this guy's nuts. Here's a tip, and you guys can reach out to me or Mike. How many of you have a relationship with a publicist? And a lot of you are like, what do you mean publicist? PR? Like, I'm not Madison Avenue. I'm just the guy or gal on the corner.
I know, I'm over here scratching my head too, Frank. I'm
going to tell you guys straight up. Now, when we talk about brand reach, content, marketing, blah, I want to let the whole world. I mean, I stood on the corner with a bullhorn letting people know where we're at. That's crazy. I don't expect you to do that. But if you want,
have done that, by the way.
I got yeah. But what I'm saying is, you're speaking to adding that level of team and connection. In this case, having you on board as a consultant to handle it. When I had a publicist, I knew that it's not about trust, but I didn't have the time of day to hang with all these media and news, and because we wanted to be a part of that, even circulations, getting the write-ups. Many people think, well, I'm not Hollywood. I don't need PR. Reach out to me, and we probably could do a little, video on it, whatever. But trust me, I was the same way. I'm like, this ain't going to work. It's not expensive. And guess what it does? It allows you, what should you do as a business owner? Like a coach with a great athlete. Your business is the athlete. You're the business owner. Your job is to measure. Is this guy running the 5-minute mile? Oh, wait a minute. He's running 6 minutes. Your job is to guide that. And Mike, like, light bulbs go off because you're bringing to industry, which I don't think has been there. Like, I'm not taking away from all of the reps that rep those individual items we need. Software, tooling, whatever the case is, marketing. But to have somebody on the squad, kind of like a CMO, a chief marketing officer, without killing the bank, man, I'm going to sleep right. I'm going to go home and do the crazy things I want to do and not think about a shop.
That's exactly right. And it's a strong comparison to a CMO. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, Frank, because that's exactly what it is. If you think about, and you've been in the shop and you've owned the shop and stuff. If you think about the typical day-to-day, and if you separate it like in a pie chart, I always like to explain it this way. If you separate a pie chart, right, from having to meet payroll deadlines to greeting customers, to making sure the team is up to date on the latest training and the tools. We're going to switch shop management systems. Now we got to spend the next 6 months getting everybody on board and getting them trained. If you think about it in a pie chart, and if you take out that marketing slice of the pie, right, or vendor contact, vendor relations, it allows you to free up more time within that pie, right? So that's really the goal of delegating the task. I mean, as far as delegating, sure, we're wired to have full control of our business, right? Many shop owners, they've gone through the trenches, like you mentioned. They were wrenching. They've done a lot of hard work to get to where they are today, and they deserve to be part of every aspect, no matter if they hire a CMO or not, right? But as they continue to grow, what happens? Their time starts to become a little bit more limited. So they have to delegate these tasks to somebody, whether they hire an internal marketing person that could sit in their shop, 40 hours a week, or if they hire a company like Overdryve that could be able to delegate or accept on those tasks and have contact between them and their vendors that they're working with. It allows them to free up more time, and that's the ultimate goal. And I encourage it. It's very similar to, when you think about coaching, right? There's shops that are still reluctant to accept a coach. For me personally, and I'm not just talking about a coach for the industry, by the way. I'm talking about a coach, right? Any type of coach. For me, I had a strength and conditioning coach. When I was training and I was deep into jiu-jitsu and competing and stuff, I hired a strength and conditioning coach. It was not cheap. It was super expensive, actually. But I was able to lose 30 pounds. I was in the best shape of my life. And it was the best thing that I've ever done. Same thing in our industry, right? If I'm, $500,000 in debt, if I'm working 14-hour days, if I want to buy that fifth location, I'm going to need a coach to help, walk me through this and hold me accountable. It's, I call it an accountability buddy, right? So, it allows you to reach these goals. They're more attainable when you have that support system and that accountability. So I'm a big believer in it. I'm definitely drinking the Kool-Aid, Frank.
Well, no, man, I think about what you said. I mean, these are all top notch, and I have some of the seasoned shop owners. They're always looking to just like squeeze the juice even more. And I think you get to a certain flat line, no matter what level you're at. You could be year one shop, you flatline. Year 3, year 5, year 10, I'm growing 2 locations, flatline. There's always something to grow on. And I think those that get it understand that you got to choose your battles. Like, I want to speak on something else, man. It just came to mind. I don't think our industry is truly enjoying life, man. I see a lot of sniveling. I see a lot of people like they're having these contests of who's doing this, and there's this subtle movement. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, I think you open your business to enjoy freaking life.
Yeah.
Are you going to owe bills at the end of the day 1 month because it got real slow and you goofed up and you didn't do this, that, and the other thing? Should you develop less of a lifestyle? Why did you open up? And so I'm speaking to a lot of the younger, talented master technicians that say, hey, I'm going to do this on my own. And then they're 6 months into it. Dude, I know you've been to those garages where they're fresh, they're green in business. And these guys are rock star technicians, and they're struggling. They're struggling. The pain is real regarding cash flow and marketing and planning. And had I done this a long time ago, had I known you, I think I would have just said, okay, it's not too bad. I can raise the labor rate $10, hire this consultant. He's going to be my CMO to help me out. Because I don't want to dance with marketing. Like, I want to dance with my clients. I want to dance with the feel good. I want to fix cars. There are a lot of great shop owners that they got people up front. They don't want to hang up front, but they still have to pay attention to metrics. I got to ask you, on that note, I'm in business, year 1, year 2. I got excited. I laid it out. I did everything that I thought would be nice for my people in my community. I know I can fix the heck out of cars. Things start getting painful for me. You're not just talking Overdryve for the big fat dollar shops, and I say that respectfully. You're talking to those that are getting started, because some are listening. I can't do that. I can't afford that. I'm just going to do flyers. I'm going to go 3:00 in the morning. And by the way, I did that. You guys want to grind? I worked a full day, and I was out at the apartment complex handing out flyers like a fool. Apartment complex would call me the next day. You need to come pick up these flyers. And then I'd come up with a story. The owner in Kansas said you guys got oil leak problems, and he said it was okay. That worked half the time, Mikey D. That is stupid, silly, but I have no choice.
You were able to pivot for a little bit.
You do what you do. So I want to speak to those shop owners, man. They want to survive year 1, year 2, year 3. And they just feel like, man, all this candy's out of reach because I can't afford it. Talk to a shop that may need to adjust their labor rate, and I'm just going to go right to it, to be able to make their business excel, including in marketing.
Yeah, don't be afraid to. We have our labor rate set for the type of audience we want to attract. Period. It's no offense to anybody else. It's just, this is the type of customer that we want in our shop. There's nothing wrong with that. We're at a really interesting time when you talk about kind of like, what sort of happens, like where we're at today and, people kind of panicking and stuff. I'm going to go back to 2020, right? COVID really was a big eye opener. A lot of the older generation, the guys and gals that have had their shop for 30 or so years, they're retiring, they're selling off, right? And then this younger generation is buying multiple stores, right? I'm seeing a lot of this, 3, 4, 5, 6 locations. So what's happening is they continue to onboard all these new locations. They start to look at it like, oh, how am I going to manage all of this? So the first thing I would suggest is not to panic. It's okay to take a step back. Sometimes you have to, it's a cliche, right? But like sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. There's nothing wrong with that. I always say, and I'll go back to that original question you asked when we first started this conversation, Frank, is lean on a peer. Talk to somebody that's actually been through this route.
Mike,
right?
Mike, you think we're just big, bad, and bold, and we got it. We don't need to talk to anybody. You think some of us are like that?
Yes. Unfortunately, yeah.
You see that because I'm in my mind, Mike. I'm thinking that seems to be that way, but you see it. You visit over 1,300 garages across the country, and I'm sure you walked away and you're like, "Man, I need a drink," because that dude was like so full of his stuff, and he doesn't realize how much more he could attain in a quality of life and all this stuff. You think we're knuckleheads that way?
I wouldn't say knuckleheads, Frank. Come on, man.
I would
say that.
I say it. I get kicked out. I don't care.
I would say, in all seriousness, Frank. I would say there's a little bit of an ego, right? But ego's okay. I want everybody to know that that's actually a positive thing. But sometimes we have to shelve that ego to get help and to get to where we want to be. There is nothing wrong with that. Let's swallow our pride. Let's lean on a peer. Let's talk to a coaching company. Let's figure out how we can get out of this pickle or whatever situation you're in to be able to help, work towards your long-term goals.
Yeah, one of the things I did, Mike, is and this is why I love my industry and I love the people in it. Whatever, 20, 30-year operator, 40-year, 50-year, 60-year. Greg Buckley, the guy's running since 1890, whatever, out there in Delaware. I love my boy Greg Buckley. Megan Dinoff with her whole tribe over there. There's so many of us in the industry. Like, I just say, I dream. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but I dream and I say, man, where were these people back in '95? I had Mitch Schneider. I read Mitch Schneider Motor Age magazine articles to keep my sanity. We didn't have internet. And what did I do? Things were going bad. So what do? You physically abuse yourself. When I tell you about that parking lot flyers, that's all I could do. I had no clue about a calendar and charging. My labor rate was about as what it would be. The wind flew by. That sounds good. And you're broken working on way too many cars and people yelling at you. I think we need you, man.
Go ahead, sorry.
Huh?
No, I was just going to say, and that's why, you've been through the trenches, right? You've had to walk from car to car putting flyers on cars, right? So, there's an immense amount of pride in that shop owners take in their business, as they should. That's why it's difficult to ask for help, right? That's why I find it's difficult to ask for help because of everything that we've been through, to grow our business and get to where we're at today.
Hey, I'm gonna advise Overdryve. You need a tab, and you need to mark the tab therapy. I'll be your first person. I'll sign up right now. Therapy. Do you think we need therapy? That's what we need, man. I say it jokingly.
Your picture inside that landing page there on the site.
Therapy. Yep, and I'll sign up. We all need therapy. But no, you're doing some great things. If you guys are just joining us, Overdryve, DRYVE, people, overdriveinc.com. I'll have it in the show notes. Seriously, creating a customized marketing plan. You guys stop heavy lifting, man, in the wrong areas, and you get frustrated. Overdryve will take care of the heavy lifting for you so you can focus on your family, your life, your fishing, your trips, your Mexico, your Canada skiing, all that stuff. Relax and let Overdryve handle it. Mike, I've known you for years, man. Big smiles, big heart, always there, always a man of your word. When I found out that you're creating this, I said, man, the industry just struck up some gold, man. And I just want to say that. I think again, people want people. They don't want the fancy, and you're one of the peeps. And I'm on a mission to help you, brother, because we need the help. The more we can help you,
Frank,
the more you can help us.
That. Yeah, I super appreciate that, man. That means a lot, and truly, like, it's why I do what I do. It's why I created this company, because over 10 years, I've noticed some holes in our industry, and part of it was the shop owner who just had a family at home, working all day long, didn't attend their kid's soccer game. I've heard those stories time after time again, and I realize that that's not everybody, but there's a lot out there that don't have a process in place, and it's taking them away from their family. So, for you to say that, it's truly why I'm in it, is more for the intrinsic reward, that special feeling like, I do want to have an impact. So, I'm super proud to kind of venture off on my own and do my own thing and make my own decisions, because I know it really does come from a good place. So thank you so much for acknowledging that. I really appreciate that, Frank. And man, dude, it's an honor to know you. You spent all this time in Southern California. Why don't you come up north?
I am, because it's cold. It's cold in Arizona. I need to go out there and go surfing. I'm trying to surf. I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm doing. Man. But I got to ask you, let's just talk about this. We got about 8 or 9 minutes. All right, we got some time.
Yep.
Many of us are trying to spank Google SEO. Google SEO is serious. It took me years meaning 18 years of a website. I'm not going to go through our performance, but that thing was a machine. But I will tell you, in the early years, you know what? I'll tell you straight. A lot of you can relate. Back in 2008, the sky fell. Real estate plopped down in the toilet. And all of a sudden, real estate agents were freaking SEO experts. I don't know how far you go back. So I hired a few people, and I'm watching performance, and it was horrible. So guess what we do? This is another syndrome. We hire somebody, not good. We didn't ask the right questions, like you said. And they're so bad, we give up and say, I could rebuild a 350. I'm going to take care of my own SEO. That's what a lot of us do, because, we're in business. We got to do it. How serious is this SEO currently? AI is a big thing now. Chat GPT and all this stuff. Can you just give those listening a golden nugget? What's the biggest thing I need to be aware of for my business regarding Google SEO?
Yeah, Frank, this is a conversation at least until midnight. You said we only have 8 minutes, so
that's what we do on Wrench Nation. We put people on the spot. This is a live show, baby.
It's totally fine. Yeah, I mean, look, we're wired because we'll launch a campaign, right? For example, we'll write a blog, we'll add pages to our website, and then we expect all of a sudden to be number one on Google, right? But then we see us slip down and we start to panic, right? Pull our hair out. The most frustrating part about SEO as business owners, I mean, it's important to understand that, there's so many different elements to SEO. It's not like a snap of the fingers and you're number one, right? Google changes their algorithm, which is how your shop is listed on the web. They probably change it over 400 times per year. So, you might search something today on Google, and it's going to be the prime first position, but then the very next day you search the same thing and maybe it went down to number 2 or 3, right? Or if you search from your desktop today and then your mobile device tomorrow, same thing, right? It's going to be different. So in my years of managing SEO or working with companies who do, all we can do is just follow Google's lead and adjust. I mean, there's no holy grail here, right? There's no, somebody's not going to break the Da Vinci Code. We just follow Google's lead and adjust to it. Right now, some of the important, components or nuggets, right, is, a secure and accessible website. You got to make sure your page is secure. Page speed, it has to load fast, right? Content that's optimized and is custom to you, nobody else. You mentioned the AI and chat PT, that's a hot thing. And I know we all have opinions on it, but for me, it's not authentic. Why use it? It's good for a baseline. You could use it as sort of a placeholder, but it has to be custom content, right? Backlinks, nav consistency. Google's crawling the web and they're looking at every site under the sun. Facebook, Yelp, YP.com, every single site under the sun, and they're making sure that your name, address, and phone number is consistent across the web. You have social signals, all your social links on your website, review signals. Each of these carry some level of weight for your rankings factor, and I think it's something to consider. You could get a PhD in all of this stuff and still be learning every single day. And that's why it's always better, in my own opinion, to lean on the professionals that live and breathe this every single day.
No, I couldn't agree with you much. I mean, you're hitting it spot on, but I want to add to that. I think the last 10 years, I'll just call it for what it is. Mark Zuckerberg gave us and introduced us these dopamine injections. And so a lot of you put that content out there and you're all about how many likes and the volume and and you're like, nobody liked it, and you drive yourself crazy, and then you go back to it. And so my point is this: take a deep breath, speak to your audience. When you have a simple three-legged stool of marketing, which is, who's my market? What's the medium? Is the Instagram going to look the same as the billboard? Probably not. What medium am I going to execute? And dang it, focus on the message. With that said, those three items, the average individual that's really good at making widgets, that's really good at rebuilding a Porsche engine, whatever, probably not going to hit those. And so I believe, you better maybe change the price structure a little bit and be able to task up an individual and a team to do that for you. Even if you're on the corner store and it's just two of you working the garage. Don't give up on it. No matter what.
Yeah, you're right. No matter what. I mean, it's not like, Overdryve is the silver bullet, right? I know what we're capable of, but it's not Overdryve. Find somebody that can help you, right? Because I'm telling you, this stuff is always going to change. Always going to change. What you're going to see 6 months from now with SEO and all this stuff, it's going to be different. So you constantly have to stay ahead of the curve. You might as well hire somebody that does this every single day and does it for a living.
All right, last question. Going to put you on the spot. That's what we do on Wrench Nation.
That's what we do on Wrench Nation. Let's go.
Hey, you got 2 minutes. I manage, as a shop owner, my own social media, specifically Big Daddy Facebook. What am I doing wrong on Facebook?
A number of things, right? Content, right? You post the right content. Don't special jam, right? Every single post is a special. I think all of us nowadays are aware that, people and, the exterior of the building gets more likes and more engagement than, $20 off if you spend X. Also ads. What's cool about Facebook ads or even all social platforms will give you ads, but you can hone it down to the demographics, right? You can say, I want to target 35-year-olds to 49-year-olds who drive a 2005 to a 2019, Chevy Camaro and Toyota Tundra in this specific zip code. I mean, that's how granular it is. So do ads. And the cool part, and I'll leave it with this, is the analytics. All of these social media platforms, when you run ads, they'll give you the analytics to measure things like click-through rates, impressions, ultimately coming into your shop and spending money.
No, I like that. The other thing that I got to put out there, Mike, you got some serious experience teaching over 100 courses to shop owners. You guys visit Overdryve, that's DRYVE, Inc.com. You've got some of these courses on the website. Let's say I want to do a little window shopping and I want to test drive. I may not know you like I do. You want to peruse. Where can you send visitors on your website for that?
Where can we send visitors on the website?
Right. You've got a section. Make sure I don't get this wrong, Mike. You've got a section, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, where you've got these educational presentations on your website.
Yes,
am I right?
Yes.
That's my point. Yeah, what do people do if they want to test drive your stuff?
Yeah. So those are some of the presentations and courses that I've taught over the course of my career, mostly marketing related, but, I've done things like, generational marketing and, the fast track to analytics and different things like that. Those are some of my past courses, but I always allow myself, because sometimes these associations will invite me to maybe, teach a class or something like that. So I'm totally open to do that if needed as well.
A boatload of knowledge.
Courses and presentation.
A boatload, man. A boatload of knowledge, and we appreciate you stepping into the pit. Listen, man, you are now a peddler. You're one of us. You're a business owner. You're a peddler, and we love you for that. And actually,
and I still have my hair, Frank.
Hey, hold on to that. Some of us got to work on that.
And it's still brown. It's still brown.
OverdryveInc.com. If you're on LinkedIn, man, check out Mike DelaCruz. I love you, brother. We're going to re-follow up with you in 6 months, and I thank you for hanging with Wrench Nation. You rock.
Love you, Big Frank. Have a good one, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's so straight up, people. Don't try to be a champion. Y'all trying to you skydive and cliff dive and scuba dive. Stop diving, man. Stop creating this whole situation. Attain the people that can help you so you have peace of mind. OverdryveInc.com. I'll have that in the show notes. I appreciate you guys hanging. Next week, I'm excited. I believe it's next week. I got a whole show on Tesla and the self-driving situation and system. We got an engineer coming on. We're going to talk under hood of Teslas. What's it all about? You guys are hearing about it in the media. Maybe you own one. You're really happy. Maybe you're not. I want you guys to hang with us next week. Get on wrenchnation.tv if you missed bits and pieces of the show. I'll have the podcast up this weekend. I appreciate and love every single one of you. Thank you for hanging. As I tell you every week, be safe, hug each other, and never forget to hug a mechanic.